welcome back to my corner. Today I am here with author, poet, and president of the Hannibal Writers Guild, Dana Lockhart. She is the author of The Unlife of William Moore, and is it two poetry collections at the moment?
Technically two at the end of the month. I have one out and one coming out.
Oh, wonderful. All right. So thank you very much for joining me here today and letting me interview you. And I wanted to start with how long you've been writing and if you have a favorite genre.
Yes, I the first memory I have of writing, I had been a very avid reader up until that point, but I remember starting a story when I was around 12 and 8th grade or so. Just a story I had as I had a dream one night and I woke up and wow, that was kind of a cool idea. And I just started writing it. Writing it, I had my 8th grade teacher flipping back and forth with me. He'd kind of helping me walk through it and stuff. It was kind of a fun time. But kind of when I was getting more into 14 to 16 age, I actually came out with a different story that I had a lot more passion for. Wrote it in 3 whole months, and that's why the one with William Moore, you can read it today. But my first draft took me 3 whole months, and I had discovered at that point that Christopher Paolini had published a book at like 16. I was like, well, if he
Hmm.
could do it, I could do that. So I
Yeah.
started really looking into the publishing. And eventually, several years later, I did beef it up and edit it a lot, and it came out as a real book. So people get to read it now. And then I also dabble in
Nice.
poetry as a whimsy type of thing. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm into. I write typically kind of light fantasy, light sci-fi, anything to kind of break away from the real world a little bit. I grew
Mm.
outside of the town of 199 people, 2 miles away from those people. So I was just in the middle of nowhere. All I had were my books because you couldn't get cable out there, you couldn't get internet. So I was really drawn to fantasy and anything bigger
Mm.
than life.
Yeah. I similar experience. I didn't live in a very tiny town, but I would visit my grandmother who lived in Houston, and I didn't know anybody because I was a little kid, and like she was old, so we only knew old people. So I'd spend all summer long just reading through every book in her library.
Hmm.
Uh, so you've been writing for quite some time, and you've successfully produced several books. How has your process developed through all that experience?
I have been a very whimsy type of author where I will get an idea and then I'll just kind of chase after it. I have several projects going on at one time. And especially when it comes with poetry, I definitely have to be in the mindset and the emotional mindset in order to craft a poem, either actually feeling the feeling in the moment. I sometimes have to like take a quick break at work and be like, oh, this is a good poem idea and I'm feeling it. I have to write it down or I'll forget. Or I have to be remembering those moments from long in the past and thinking it's like, okay, this is something that I went through. How can other people relate to it? Let's try to turn it into a poem.
Oh,
And when it
nice.
comes to my other stories, usually I kind of just fixate on an idea. It's usually a character or a character trait, sometimes a world, but there's generally two schools of thought when it comes to creating a story where you start with the character and then you build a world around them, or you start with a world and insert characters into them. And I am very much the first one where I usually have a character idea
Mhm.
that I think is really neat. It seems like a cool person that other people would relate to them, and then I try to build the world around them as best as possible.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So what about inspirations? Is there anything in particular that you find inspiring or something you do or place you go to feel inspired?
Music does it for me a lot. Nimble has entered the building. This is my cat,
Oh,
Nimble. He's my
kitty!
supervisor. He makes sure that I do everything great, and yeah, he'll be here until I stop talking. As as far as inspiration, of course, Aragon inspired me a lot. I love dragons because of it. Avatar: Last Airbender honestly got me started writing more because I was a fanfic writer, like a lot of writers are on the internet sometimes. Started out with that, had some cool ideas, which eventually turned into bigger, broader stories. One of the novels I'm working on right now kind of started as a little fanfic idea. And music does it a lot for me too, particularly not just like a whole song, but oftentimes just like one little snippet of a lyric or kind of the way the song made me feel is often a good influence for my inspiration sometimes.
Nice. I probably have like enough story material to write for like 70 years if I had the time. And you mentioned earlier that sometimes you write at work. Is there anywhere else you find time, or how do you work all of that, the writing in so you can actually complete your books?
Definitely. The Hannibal Writers Guild meets once a month, and oftentimes on that day, I just get to dedicate my whole life to writing that day. I will leave several hours before the meeting, and I will go to my favorite pub or go to my favorite coffee shop, and I'll hang out and write, or I'll work on some kind of little mini project. Like I make these cute little mini handbooks that I completely make by hand. Sometimes I will bring those, and I will work on cutting up those and putting those together. I have a hard time writing at home, to be honest,
Yeah.
because the internet exists, video games exist. But I find writing on the go is pretty good. I even have a notebook. I have one around here somewhere where I'll write poetry in it, and I challenge myself to write poetry in Old Anglo-Saxon runes, and then I have
Oh,
to
nice.
translate them myself later. It's kind of fun when people like look and they're like, "What is she writing?" This one waitress freaked out when she saw, like, "What are you writing?" It was pretty great. She like told the whole restaurant about it. It was kind of crazy. It was just little fun things like that help keep me motivated.
Yeah, those sound fun actually, and making a whole day out of it is wonderful.
Mhm,
So you have the Unlife of William Moore, um,
mhm.
into the deluge, in the deluge,
In the deluge.
in the
Mhm,
deluge, and then you have another poetry collection on pre-order, and then you also were in you produced and spearheaded the Good Nonsense anthology for the Hannibal Writers
mhm.
Guild. So, out of all the books that you have successfully been released or published in, which one's been your favorite?
Oh, good question. Golly. I On a personal journey type of level, I think In the Deluge was kind of a really important book for me because I had a really hard time calling myself a poet for the longest time. And I think I might have a blog post on my website about this where something about poets just seem like angels singing up in the clouds in heaven or something. There's these big lofty people with great
Mhm.
ideas and great words, and then I'm just like, I'm not sure I belong up there or not. And I struggled with that for a long time up until this point where I was at an open mic, and everybody there was significantly older than me a lot of the times. They had poems about history or the local area or their families or something. And then I would waltz up there with my poems about roses and death and depression and stuff. And one of them called me the group's dark poet. And I ruminated on that for a really long time. Of like, well, what does that mean if poets are angels? Like, what does that mean for me? And I think that really helped me kind of figure out my voice, figure out where I belong in the writing space when it comes to poetry. And I was kind of able to actually identify as a poet at that point. It gave me a lot of strength to put my poetry out there. Not that I was scared of putting it out there by any means, but it was still a weird thing to try to call myself a poet. And within the deluge, I was like, okay, it's time. I can call myself a poet. And I know it.
With authors, especially, it's like they can't give themselves that title. The audience has to give it to them. So I totally relate to that. So do you set out with a theme in mind when you write? And if you do, how do you decide what theme to go with?
Oh, I'm not for sure if it's something I actually think about. It kind of relates back to the dark poet thing. I have a hard time writing stories that have a happy ending.
Yeah.
They usually tend to be a little darker in nature with their subject matter, even if they do have a lot of lighthearted, sometimes even funny or silly themes. But I have a hard time writing an end that is satisfactory to a lot of people because honestly, life isn't like that. Life, it doesn't wrap up things in pretty bows a lot of the times, and I'm kind of a little bit of a romantic gothic in that way, that I don't necessarily think a bad ending is the end of the world. A bad ending is a way to kind of work towards something better. So a lot of that gets incorporated into my writing. I think I only have one story that I have published and in the near future intend to publish that has a happy ending.
Hmm.
Which that might be like one of 8 stories that has a happy ending.
Yeah, I don't think any of my short stories have a happy ending. All right. So, with your poetry collection especially, did you discover anything about yourself during the process of writing that book?
I found an interesting contrast between In the Deluge, which is my first poetry collection, and my second collection, Up in Flames. The first book, I was kind of drawing on a lot of old wounds and a lot of things from the past, and Up in Flames was a lot more current things. And it was interesting because I break them up into chapters, more or less, where each chapter has a similar theme, and there are the exact same chapters in each one, just renamed different. And I had more love poetry in the second one. I had less angry poems in the second one. Like, I felt like I kind of hit a point in my life where things weren't quite so dark and were a little more lighthearted, a little more hopeful. And it was kind of an interesting perspective that I kind of noticed as I was putting the second book together.
Seeing how your life experiences has influenced the way you write your poetry.
Hmm.
All right. So, going to the Unlife of William Moore. Is there a character in that book that you identify with?
Good question. I really like the little side character, Mrs. Niemeyer, or Needlemeyer, excuse me. She's just kind of a little crazy, little out there. You just get little snippets of her every now and then, to where like she's kind of nosy, but she's kind of sweet. And I really feel like adding her to the story as just this little side character that kind of pops up every now and then, like really adds a lot of life and a little bit of joy and silliness to what's going on. Because she's been noticing that these men are showing up at her house at odd hours of the night. And she's like made her own opinions on what's going on and which one she prefers, you know. And I kind of want the reader a little bit to kind of see themselves in Mrs. Needlemeyer, because this story is like kind of unfolding before their eyes as well. And you kind of form opinions on the characters and how they're interacting and stuff. And that's not always how exactly they're actually feeling, which kind of relates a little to a bit of an underground theme that I kind of run into with that story.
Nice. And that actually kind of leads right into my next question, which is, do you think about the audience when you're writing, and does that influence what you include or exclude from your stories?
Not a lot, to be honest. I have this poem, I believe it's coming in Up in Flames. It's called Loquacious, where it's like, these words are mine that I give you, whether you want them or not, paren, whether I want them or not, and paren. And I think I have another one too that's something like, I fear that if I didn't write these words down, that my mind would be too loud. I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of what that poem's about as well. That I have these things in my head, these stories, these ideas that I just have to write them down. I even have this other poem that kind of questions, is it me or a prophet or a demon that is writing these things? Because sometimes I can't really tell. It's like I just have to get them out. And it's kind of more about me getting them out than what I want anyone to think when seeing it, or if I even really want them to see it. And it's not really that I don't want them to see it by the time that I'm done. I do kind of tweak things a little bit now and then, especially with the Unlife. I had a first draft where it was a lot more like a romance book, but that wasn't the story I was trying to tell, so I had to kind of back it up and take some of it out a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's really what I'm trying to say. And while I do seek to be understood, if someone doesn't understand, I get it. People are complicated. You might not get it, you know. But so it's kind of for me in the end. And I hope people enjoy it, but it's for me in the end.
Yeah, as it should be, really. And not every book is for every reader. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about the more technical side of writing. So, is there like some
Mhm.
go-to software that you use to draft, or what do you use to create the book itself?
I'm a little old school. I know there's all these cool new apps like Vellum and Atticus and stuff. I mostly work in Word. These days, though, I usually write in Google Docs because I'm able to access it on my phone really easily. I'm able to access it between devices really easy. I'm not super happy with all of this, everything being included in an AI thing with Google.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of great to be able to sign out of. But up until that point, it was really, really handy for me to switch around. And it's also been great for beta readers that they can jump in there and comment on things. And then once I'm pretty much done, I'll then import it into Word. I'll format it in Word. I've been using Word all my life. I get it. I understand it. I use it at work all the time. I am a legal assistant by day, and I am writing pleadings and letters, and I'm working in Word all day. So I'm pretty good at it at this point. I do think working with Vellum or something would be cool in the future, but I'm also not the type to like super make. I get a little crazy with my poetry books with the formatting, but but like giant chapter titles with like full cover images and stuff, that's not quite my vibe. I'm a very minimalist person in general with like my book covers, the inside of the book. I like to make them look nice, definitely for sure, professional. But I don't need all that extra flair. Word gets it done.
Mhm. How long does it usually take you to finish formatting and get it ready for upload?
That depends. When I was doing the anthology for the Hannibal Writers Guild, Good Nonsense, the drafts that people give you are not always in a clean, workable format. I realized pretty quickly that it was going to be a pretty great undertaking, so I allowed myself a lot more time for the second draft that we're going to be doing. We're going to do a volume two within a year or so. But doing my own, like in the deluge, probably, I think I probably got like 20 hours of just formatting, of doing a little bit every day, trying to get it perfect. But I learned a lot from that experience. Up in Flames might have took me 4 to 6, maybe. Because mostly because I already had the styles already programmed into Word, and all I had to do was just reapply them to everything in there. And as far as like other things too, I love Canva. I love Canva
Yeah.
so much. Canva is one of the greatest things. I pay for Canva. It's great. These little mini books that I make, all of these images are Canva images that I arranged myself. Usually multiple images per page that I put together. Like I think on this one, there's probably like at least like 8 little pieces that I put together on that. Canva's great. It's really awesome. Like
I'm a
cannot
Canva fan.
praise Canva enough.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I use it for marketing promos, for images inside the books. I use it for videos now too. So,
Yeah, quick thing, bookmarks, business cards, like it is just so easy to just jump in there because a lot of things, Photoshop is overkill, which great Photoshop alternative if anybody wants any. I use Photopea, as in PEA, Photopea. It's a browser based, it's great. I use it to tweak my covers, make little subtle changes, little things that are a little bit more complicated than what Canva can do, like inserting a texture into a font, but it's great, it's free. Photoshop is not.
and aside now, once you have the book done, uploaded, ready to go, how do you market? Have you found any methods that really seem to work? Any advice you would give for the other authors out there?
My advice is not for everybody. The one thing that I've really gotten to work is I enroll my books in KDP to do the KDP Select, and I do the free giveaways religiously every 90 days. I give my books away for free. I also utilize websites. There's a Written Word Media, which has a whole bunch of little subsidiaries. I mostly use the free Booksy. I also use this one called Book Sends, and this other one, Book Raids. And I think those are kind of my main three that I use, but written word media is definitely the big one. I try to spend at least $100 every 90 days promoting my book for free. Now, that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but it works. I have gotten like 70 reviews over the last
Oh,
couple years
nice.
religiously doing this method, and it has gotten me passive readers. It's not a lot. I'm starting to get like $5 a month abouts and just passive people where I'm not really promoting very much, but they stumble upon my book and I get a little bit of money for it. Usually KU reads, and a lot of people will pick up the book accidentally in KU when I'm giving it away for free too. And I'm also a person, as long as I can afford to be an author, I'm going to. So when I'm promoting my book for free, I'm more interested in getting my book in the hands of readers than I am to make money. Money is kind of a secondary thing. That would be really
Yeah.
nice. But at the end of the day, I want my book in the hands of readers. And in one 5-day promotion on KDP Select with giving my ebook away for free for The Unlife of Willie Moore, I got my book in the hands of 1,800 people in
Oh,
5 days.
wow. Yeah,
I
that's
think
amazing.
cumulatively, every time I've given away The Unlife of Willie Moore, I think I've given away 36,000 copies in the last 3 years or so. That's a lot of people. And as far
That
as I'm
is.
concerned, that's such a win.
Because that's 36,000 pairs of eyes on your words.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually I hope it'll pan out once I start getting more and more books out.
hmm You'll have people who enjoyed that one coming back and seeing what else you have
Hmm.
and wanting to pick up more. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the way to do it. So vendor experiences. I've done several vendor events. I know you have as well. So tell me a
Hmm.
little bit about running a booth as an author. Like, what kind of events do you look for? How do you decide if an event is worth it or not?
Yes, I actually do this as vendor talk, where I teach people how to do this. But in general, there's a couple of different things that I think about. I think about my risk versus reward. Risks are like driving really far away, or if the table cost is really high, or if the event is not specifically tailored for books. And the reward, of course, is how much money do you actually get. I have found that Comic Cons are usually pretty good for authors, with some exceptions. Of course, book tailored events are good for authors, but I will usually not travel more than an hour away unless it's a full day event because I have traveled 2 hours away and spent $40 on a table, bought myself lunch while I was there, gas money, everything, sold one book.
Oh
And
no.
at that point, I was like, this is not going to work. So I really had to pick and choose my battles. Some people have done really good at doing like farmers markets and stuff. I haven't tried one. Some people do. Could work out for you as long as it's a local event and you're not traveling very far. I say try any and everything you can. But again, I don't travel more than an hour unless it's going to be an all day event that's fairly book orientated because I have been burned a few too many
Yeah, every penny counts when you're trying to run a publishing business for sure. Um,
times.
Anything that you have noticed really works when you're working at the booth to like draw readers in and take a chance on your book?
I have definitely been on the other side of people trying to sell me things, so I try to be really respectful in trying to sell them things. If they walk by my booth without making eye contact or even looking at me, I won't try and yell at them, "Hey, look at my stuff," you know? But if they make eye contact with me, I will say, "Hello, how are you today?" And if they just kind of like, "Yeah, good," and keep walking, I'll let them go. But if they start pausing a little bit to continue talking to you, I'll, continue the conversation. I'll be like, "Oh, I have some books here and stuff." And I try to kind of lure them in gently because I don't want to be that guy. I don't like it when people are that guy to me either. Try to, respect people. And you can also kind of tell too if a person is a reader by the way they react like that, or if they read the kind of books that you've got, because a lot of times your books are tailored towards your genre. They look like what they are. And if they look at it and it's like, oh, that's fantasy. I only like memoirs, they'll keep walking.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's all about vibes and kind of letting
Hmm.
the person take the lead on you know how to pitch to them.
Definitely. And I
Um,
always try to have a few quick pitches in mind of just like my book in a sentence,
mhm.
everything that I have in a sentence. I encourage them to pick it up and take it. A lot of times they'll get an attachment to it once they touch it, and so they want to take it with them.
And do you have any upcoming events that people can find you at?
Yes, I will be at the Big River Steampunk Festival in Hannibal, Missouri on Labor Day weekend. My next biggest one is Archon in Collinsville, St. Louis. I will be there all weekend. Oh, and I think those
And
kind of are
that's
my big ones.
in
And of course, the Fay Folk Life, no,
yeah,
Fay Folk Festival in Springfield, Illinois, Saturday, September 6th or 9th.
6th.
Saturday, first Saturday.
Yes, first Saturday of September, and then Archon I believe is in October. Um,
Hmm.
I can't remember what weekend exactly, but just look up Archon
It's first
and you'll be able to
weekend. It's
find it.
my birthday weekend. You can come buy my
Oh,
book for my birthday if you would like.
nice. Yeah, that would be great. All right. And where can we find your work?
Yes, my website is www.danalockhart.com. You can get my books on Amazon, of course, as ebooks. The Unlife of William Moore is an audiobook. I also sell signed copies on my website, and I also sell other things too. I have art prints on my website. I have my little mini handbooks on my website. It's the only place you can get those other than meeting me in person at a book signing. And I am working on a creepy pasta that I plan to submit to r/no sleep called I'm on a solo sailing trip across the ocean, and I don't think I'm alone on this boat. So if you want to look for that in the next month or so, I'm hoping to get that as well.
That that does sound fun and creepy.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for joining me here today. I really enjoyed getting the chance to talk to you. It is always wonderful whenever you're around, and I enjoy your
Aw.
writing. And I'm really hoping that more people can discover you and enjoy your writing too. Is there anything else you want to say before I sign off?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And if anyone's interested in the Hannibal Writers Guild in the Hannibal area, come hit us up. We have free workshops once a month. And our book is also, if you buy the book from our website or Amazon of Good Nonsense, all those proceeds go towards helping the local nonprofit and helping us continue to help other authors as well.
Yes, absolutely. I'm all for supporting the community. It's one of the best things that we can do for each other. All
Mhm.
right. Well, thank you so much, and have a great night. And then for anyone who stayed and watched this, thank you, and check out Dana's
Thank
stuff.
you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.